Hello and welcome back to another live stream. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And yeah, another live stream. We've actually got some news for once, so that's why we're back to streaming. But let's get straight into the few things first before we wait for, people to click on and join the stream and stuff and join the viewings and stuff. First of all, make sure to like the stream as you're coming in if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on play, not on playback the app, but just clicking on it on your own time. Uh, Also, make sure to subscribe. We are literally 2 subscribers away from 400, which would be amazing if we could get to 400 at this stage as well. We're trying to hit 500 before the end of the year. And yeah, I've got a new series. Well, not a new series. If you watched my channel last year, you'll know about the countdown series from 20 days to the Premier League. I talk about every Premier League team and analyze them, preview them before the season. Obviously, starting with Bournemouth, and that will be the first upload will be on Friday, and then from then on, it will take you towards the Premier League season. But yeah, we've got a lot to get into. Obviously, as well, make sure to leave your questions in the chat as we are talking about West Ham United today, and make sure to interact as well because this is important. It's been a very busy day when it comes to West Ham news as well. Obviously GVO mics on all platforms as it is on the YouTube. I first tweeted today, like quote tweeting something about, I think it was JME that said, "What makes you upset?" And I said, "Not having a right back or a striker." And then someone replied to me saying, "I think that's going to change today." Big up Hanno, as always. And someone said, "I think that's going to change." So it turns out ex-West Ham employee was reporting about a right back, and it ended up filtering towards everyone else because the first report, West Ham agree club and player deals to sign Mazraoui. Close, not done via Pletigo. Well, who will make a signing first? Liverpool or West Ham? Well, we've already made 2. Well, we made 3. But one of them's Fotheringham, doesn't really count as a third choice goalkeeper. Max Kilman and Guilherme are there. Liverpool probably will struggle to make a signing. They don't want to spend any money. But yeah, West Ham agreed club and player deals to sign Mazraoui. Man United interested but need Wan-Bissaka out and rejected West Ham and wants Inter Milan, which is something we didn't know until now. And apparently Man United want Denzel Dumfries. We're specifically talking about West Ham in this situation. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka and Kyle Walker-Peters were the targets mainly. I didn't actually think that the Mazraoui thing was going to be the one we actually go for. I thought we had a bit much of a too much of an obsession with the Premier League proven targets, but it turns out it turns out that we've used this to actually go for Mazraoui instead. It's a similar situation with Max Kilman, not Max Kilman, with Tadibo as well. I didn't actually think we was going to go after Tadibo, but we did actually go after him. He wants to go to Juventus. I don't think Areola's going to go Saudi. Like I've seen reports of it, but nothing's reliable. And also that would be a disaster for us. There's nothing reliable yet, Scott. But big up yourself as usual. And also that would just be long trying to find a first choice keeper. I don't think Fabianski can play this type of football as good of a keeper as he is. But I don't think Areola's going to go. I wouldn't to worry too much about that. I think reporters and journalists know that this fan base will go into a frenzy no matter what happens and go into a meltdown, which we'll get onto later about how our fan base went into a meltdown anyway. But I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, this was the first report. Obviously, it's good that, but he's not good in goal. In general, he's not good in goal. He's just a terrible goalkeeper in general. And to be fair, to be honest with his feet, he wasn't necessarily that good at Sheffield United either. I don't really want to see Wes Fotheringham play at his club, if I'm being completely honest. But that was the first report that happened. Obviously, Mazraoui has been agreed. So we're actually going to sign a right back, which is nice. I know I've been a little bit impatient, but this is a priority position. Like, it is right back and striker, the priority positions. Obviously, those are the main talking points of today as well. Like, I mean, the whole news today has been either Mazraoui or Duran. And it makes a lot of sense. We're going to upgrade from Ben Johnson. It's probably the biggest upgrade from a position I've seen in a while at this club. people crying about Ben Johnson leaving, but Mazraoui's way better than Ben Johnson in every aspect of the game. There's nothing that Ben Johnson's better than Mazraoui at. Nothing at all. Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, legit. Message me on it. Message me on Insta if you want to collab and stuff. I'll get back. I'll get to you after this stream if you want. But with Mazraoui, I'm very happy with it. From what I was on the Bayern Way YouTube channel yesterday, talking about it as well. Go and check out his channel as well. Very nice guy. And we were talking about Mazraoui. Bayern Munich fans, from a Bayern Munich perspective, they don't want to let him go. The only problem with him is his injuries, as we've seen his injury record quite a lot. So Vladimir Sufa will probably play a few games, and we are used to signing injury-prone players, and that's something that does hinder the deal a bit. But that's probably why we're able to get the deal for a lot more cheap. And also, Bayern have a few options at right back. Apparently, that Sasha Bowie guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Joshua Kimmich, and someone else, I forgot his name. That's why they're so willing to let Mazraoui go. Obviously, he doesn't start at right back for Morocco because of Hakimi. Hey, Mikes, we need to make 4 signings minimum: striker, left winger, right back / wing back, and a centre mid baller. Oh, yeah, I agree. If we're able to get all of that done, it'll be a fantastic window. Obviously, I've said before as well, like I'm content, and I'm just saying content with a right back and a striker, but I'll still be critical about the window. I've said that multiple times. Like, I'm still going to criticize the window no matter what anyway, but even with if we just got a right back and a striker, that's 2 priority positions done. But I'd be happy with a midfielder, even more happy with a midfielder and a left winger. We need a left winger that can cut in on his right foot. And depending on how the midfield situation pans out, obviously we'll talk about Orford later, but also Freddie Potts and Andy Irving. We'll see how they fare out in the pre-season games against Wolves and Crystal Palace and Celta Vigo. There's going to be a few loan deals, I'm sure, for academy players in the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll have more clarity on the situation when it comes to the midfielders. But I agree with you, Wasim, and big up yourself as well, another regular in the chat. But yeah, we definitely need to make 4 signings minimum if we want to get the rebuild done within this window. I mean, if we wanted to get the rebuild done as well, we would have bought a left back and not re-signed Darren Cresswell. But those would be ideal, to be completely honest with you. Like, the striker situations get annoying. The left winger situation, like, it looks like we're going to miss out on Reece Nelson, only for the fact that Sule is going Roma, meaning Leicester are going to miss out, and Leicester are interested in Reece Nelson. Someone who I would have taken, but we're not willing to pay money for. I don't know any other left wing options that we have, really, because we were after Jaden Philogene. We had somewhat of an interest, and that didn't happen. So with right back as well, obviously that we'll carry on talking about that now. Let's get on to the second report. Obviously, someone that has been reporting a lot on this, to be fair to him, is Florian Plettenberg. And to be fair, so a journalist that I give quite a bit of stick. To be completely honest with you, it is a journalist I give quite a bit of stick, but it's also because he doesn't always report the most reliable stuff. It's just that he has a lot of connections with obviously the German league. That makes sense, but especially with Bayern Munich. Obviously on the Bayern Way yesterday, he was saying that he reported a lot on the Harry Kane situation, the Harry Kane going to Bayern. And to be fair, I do remember that now that I'm thinking about it, but I never believed him. I never believed Harry Kane was going to leave Tottenham, to be completely honest with you, but that did happen. Bayern Munich and West Ham have reached an agreement to sign Mazraoui. Transfer fee is €15.5 million plus 4 million add-ons. I don't know what that accumulates into pounds, but there's also a verbal agreement in principle. The deal's not done. It's not a done deal. Important financial details about the deal have to be clarified. All parties involved now working on it. So apparently also, like, if I can find a report that says it, I will. But a couple of people were saying that if the deal does get done, he may be able to join us in America. Obviously, the small American tour that we're doing for like 2 weeks, the what's it called, the Sunshine State Tour, where we're facing Crystal Palace and Wolves in Tampa. Literally, West Ham just posted about it now. Tampa and Jacksonville in what's it called, in Florida. Any news on Crescencio Somerville? Literally, Kyle, there's been nothing since that original report of when Fabrizio reported that the deal was going to be a bit expensive. I generally think it's just someone that we inquired for and realized that Leeds didn't need to sell. So we're like, fuck it, we're not going to go back in. Obviously, that is another left winger option as well. I have I have a weird feeling that we're going to go back in for him just because of the fact that Reece Nelson has been removed, and we're going to try and do a similar thing that we have with John Duran and try and inquire and try and lower the price, etc. But I haven't heard anything about the Somerville situation since. But so far, that has been the right back situation. But also, Wan-Bissaka rejected West Ham because he wanted Inter Milan. Kyle Walker-Peters would have liked the move, but we didn't agree with Southampton. Obviously, if you'd known a few weeks ago, as Ben Johnson left, we instantly got linked to Kyle Walker-Peters. Obviously, agents doing this work and that. It's not a coincidence that you see that on the timeline right next to each other. But it very much said that Kyle Walker-Peters said yes to West Ham, but we didn't agree the fee. But Southampton completely finessed us on the front now. They didn't want Danny Ings. They took Flynn Downs from us and didn't lower the price for Kyle Walker-Peters, even though he's on 1 year left. Poor guy just wants to move to West Ham and gets out of the shithole that's Southampton. But a big up Taz as well. Wan-Bissaka, I need him sold ASAP. Maybe Inter will be the guy. Maybe Inter will be the team to get Wan-Bissaka, even though that signing makes no sense. But it looks like you'll be getting Denzel Dumfries back, which doesn't make any sense. Big up Gaming as well. Big up my guy Gaming. Question: how long do you think it will take you that West Ham will get into a Champions League spot? I think we'll be in a race in 2 years if everything goes to plan, but that's a big if. I can't guarantee that we'll get in the Champions League spot, but I believe we can make a top 4 race if the Lopetegui football goes to plan, and we carry on the way we are carrying on in terms of the way we're moving strategy-wise. It's going to be a big battle. I don't expect us to get in a Champions League spot anytime soon, but I think in 2 years, maybe, like if everything goes to plan and the natural trajectory, and there's a lot of if buts and maybes. There's a lot of difficulties, a lot of hypothetical scenarios. But I don't see why it can't be completely out of the picture of that West Ham can't make Champions League football. And a lot of people were doing that last year. We were doing the boys in and out debates. But Aston Villa and Newcastle have made Champions League football, so I don't know why West Ham can't. We literally have been in Europe for more seasons than they have, even though Aston Villa will probably equal that with us. What I mean in recent times, not overall. But let's also get the John Duran stuff up as well. I am sick of this saga, by the way. I am very fucking bored of it. But this is how it started. Let me go to... This was posted at 11:42 a.m. Understand West Ham have offered 30 million plus one young player as part of the deal for John Duran. Negotiations ongoing with Aston Villa to reach an agreement. West Ham also asked about Dobvik, whatever the fuck his name is, situation in recent days, but now it's between Atletico and Roma. So here's the thing with all of this. I remember us being linked to Dobvik, and then as soon as the link happened, Atletico were closing in on him. Now, I said that it's between Atletico and Roma now, as Fabrizio said. But that was the first original post. Now, as you saw in the report there, it said 30 million plus a young player. Now, I think we all instantly thought it was Lewis Orford, and we were correct because Aston Villa were watching Lewis Orford's contract situation, which expires in 2025. Obviously, Lewis Orford wants to stay here, wants to make it. But I think because we see this as a priority position, we was willing to offer Lewis Orford in. Obviously, they probably see Freddie Potts above Lewis Orford within the hierarchy of youngsters that can make it at West Ham as well. But I get this is my thing. Yeah, I tweeted this earlier. I don't think Orford is worth giving away for John Duran. The reason why I say that is because there's a promising youngster that can actually make it at the club. For a striker that has barely started in the Premier League and is barely not even any really proven as well. The Prem starts in 3 weeks. We need deals to be completed by this time next week. Otherwise, we're slacking massively. Completely agree with you, Jay Woods. A big up to yourself as well. I was saying yesterday on the Bayern way as well. If we don't get right back at a striker by next week, I'm going to look at the whole window sideways. Big up Joey as always as well. Big up, bro. Hope you're well. Right back at striker, obviously the priority. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing it. I am sick of hearing it. I'm sick of saying it, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, the John Duran deal is just stalling. But that was the first report. And obviously with the offer of Lewis Orford in, I said, obviously about it's not worth us swapping them to. Lewis Orford could genuinely make it at this club. I'm not obsessed with youth players at this club. I really don't care. But this is the one of the few times where we've actually got a good enough crop where some of these people can actually make it and be almost solve the issue that we have in some first team positions, especially in midfield, and especially since this team won the Youth Cup in under 18s, some of these players have really accelerated. Some of them have suffered with a few setbacks. Like we lost Mubama. Now he's gone to Sunderland, I'm pretty sure, or something like that. He's gone to a championship club after being released. Ollie Scarl's got a back injury. He'll be back. But we've got a good crop of youngsters. And it'll be very good to bring them through if they are good enough. And it's fine with them being a squad player. But Lewis Orford and Freddie Potts are probably the two midfielders that are closest, to actually making it. Jota Silva for 8 million would be good value for money, even though Gasova would be my preference. The thing is with Wesley Gasova, apparently they've been asking for a mad price, which is why we didn't go back in for Wesley. I've never watched either of them. I've never watched Jota Silva, never watched Wesley. I didn't even know who Jota Silva was before this. Didn't know who Wesley was before all of this in the transfer windows. But let's be honest, we need a left winger that can cut in. so one of them would be nice. I will support them no matter what. I'll give them their first season. And then, we'll see from there. But back to the Duran situation as well. That was the first report. Obviously, it was 30 million plus one young player. And that young player ended up coming out to be Lewis Orford. Obviously, it went into meltdown, and pretty much he was then trending number one on Twitter because everyone was complaining about it, including myself. Don't get me wrong. I would get it if it was like some proven player that actually had more in their CV almost, and they've proven more throughout Europe or throughout the Premier League. Duran seems like a decent prospect, but I don't think he's even worth 30 million, let alone fucking 40 million. And I don't think he's worth 30 million plus Lewis Orford. If it was one of our youngsters, like a Junior Robinson or someone that's not going to break through to West Ham, I wouldn't care, honestly. But I generally think Lewis Orford can make it. I think Earthy can make it. I think Potts can make it. I think those are the closer three. I think Skulls can even make it. Those are the four. Other than that, we'll see with the other youngsters. We'll see with Caelan Casey, for example. Caelan Casey played a couple first team appearances, but it's probably too weak as a centre back, in my honest opinion. I've said it before. He needs to bulk up. Obviously, Bayern fans are posted about. We won't forget this Mazraoui masterclass versus Arsenal. If you watch that, if you was actually on that watch along with me watching that Arsenal game, that Saka had a terrible game against Mazraoui at left back in the second leg. Obviously, Darmesh as well pretty much also reported on the Mazraoui situation as well. Obviously, Darmesh knows ex-West Ham employee, so we count him as reliable within the West Ham space. More on the Mazraoui to West Ham United, he understood to be... Okay, he's reported something different when it comes to the Euros, the actual price. 16 million euros plus 3.5 in performance-related add-ons. Okay, that makes sense. If a deal can be finalised in the coming days, Mazraoui could yet join up with the West Ham squad on their pre-season tour of the States. I mean, we've only got one right back really with us, and he's been playing midfielders at right back instead of youngster right back, so Lopetegui, within the pre-season. So we'll see all about that. Sky Sports reported about West Ham being in advanced talks. We'll get onto why that was nonsense later on. Obviously, Rashane Thomas was another guy from The Athletic that also reported about the Duran situation. Orford's deal at West Ham expires in June 2025, and the club have not made a contract offer. I do wonder why, though, because clubs are going to come in swooping in for him. We've seen with youngsters at various clubs that it's just long. It's just long. Clubs will come in and swoop in, and they will become their prospect if they feel like they're good enough for the first team. That's why Aston Villa came in, and apparently they allegedly made an illegal approach for Lewis Orford. But at 6:23 p.m., Fabrizio made another tweet about John Duran. Understood John Duran Aston Villa rejected West Ham new bid for John Duran. So apparently this one was 32 million, Lewis Orford plus sell-on clause, still not enough to meet 40 million valuation by Villa. But negotiations obviously continued. Guys, should we still go on for Duran? 32 and above? Should we just pay the 40 million? Do we go 35 million at max and then leave it? Or do we walk away now? Because I tweeted earlier, walk away. You got to have alternatives. You got to have alternatives. Forget them. I don't blame Aston Villa, by the way, for wanting 40 million. But if you want to get rid of a player, you don't really have a much of a leg to stand on. It's a seller's market, as I keep saying about the Max Kilman situation and when we sold Declan Rice. It's a it's a seller's market. So I completely understand why they'd want to charge it. But I don't want to pay 40 million for Duran. I personally don't really want the club to pay 40 million for Duran. We have a lot of positions that we need to take care of. A lot. Do you think Andy Irving will be part of Julian Lopetegui's plan? I do if he performs well against Wolves and Palace and puts in another stand-up performance almost like he did against Ferencvaros. I didn't watch the Dagenham and Redbridge game, but I saw his goal. It's a great goal. But yeah, if he does perform well against Premier League opponents, I don't see why not, to be fair. That could be an alternative solution towards the number 8 role because he's not a number 6, is he? He's been playing number 8. But if he does, then we've saved a lot of money and we've just discovered a gem accidentally because we didn't even announce the signing. Like I thought this guy was going to be one of them people like we have a good relationship with a club, we've signed them and then we're going to sell them on, etc. And they're going to be forgotten man. It's going to be another Jordan Hugo or whatever. Maybe one of them transfers that was done by an agent, but the guy seems like decent technically. But against Wolves and Palace, I know it won't be Premier League intensity, but it's Premier League opponents. So you'll be able to judge it a bit more fairer almost. And then against the Dagenham and Redbridge and against a Ferencvaros. And then again, Ferencvaros were 4 games in to their pre-season and they're a Champions League team. And they're probably the best team in their country. I'm pretty sure they're a Hungarian team as well. I think that was the last post about Duran, but I don't think we should carry on with that Duran situation. Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, Duran looks like a good player, but is he worth 40 million? I thought we were close to agreeing a price a couple of weeks ago, but then a couple of weeks later, both clubs have tried to move the goalposts for the prices and stuff like that. And the thing is, the longer John Duran's at Aston Villa, the worse it is for John Duran, the worse it is for Aston Villa. Because John Duran clearly wants to leave. Clearly. Aston Villa fans are sick of him. He's sick of Aston Villa. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know why him and Unai Emery have fallen out. Do I see it as a red flag? Not really. Not really. That this stuff happens. He'll be happy at West Ham. And unless he performs like shit, gets benched for a long time, and then starts complaining, I don't really see many problems. I just see him as a guy who wants to prove himself and wants to play a lot more. But he's probably acting like a bit of a child, I'll be honest. And we're complaining about people with bad attitudes. Like we've had Marko Arnautovic before. We've dealt with worse. Doesn't mean that this is justified or anything, but come on, let's be honest, guys. We've dealt with much worse at this club. The worst attitude I've seen at this club was from Alvaro Arbeloa. We pretty much said, "I won a Champions League. You don't know what you're doing to Slaven Bilic." To be fair, Slaven Bilic didn't know what he was doing, but it's not the right attitude, is it? But overall, that's how the John Duran thing is looking right now. Like, just stalling upon stalling upon stalling. But I don't know whether this next thing is a good thing or a bad thing. But let me just share this quickly. Let me know what you guys think. Ex-West Ham employee said, "Think I'm gonna have to do an update later when I'm in and the kids are in bed." He's on holiday. And all of this stuff is happening now. This guy is the only guy you can really trust when it comes to West Ham news. The only guy. So if he's doing an update later, is it just going to be details of the whole deals? Is it going to be some things that reporters don't know about? Because reporters seem to just watch what ex-West Ham employee does and just report it after that. Is it going to be bad news? Like, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, I can't tell if that's a fucking good thing or a bad thing, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm hoping we just get some new news. As I said, guys, we're on two subscribers away from 400. So if you guys can make that happen, that'll be great. He was on loan for 2 years and scored 16 goals in Austria Klagenfurt. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Did we sign him 2 years ago then? When did we sign Andy Irving? I'm going to look this guy up, man. Because I just remember us signing him and then big up Ryan. Big up Ryan. Hope you're doing well, bro. But Andy Irving, bro, I didn't know when we signed him. Okay. So we signed him in Okay, I don't know why Wikipedia's doing this nonsense. 2023. Last season, okay. Last season. I don't know why we signed him. No, I'll be real. I don't know why we signed him. Um, I think it was just a good relationship between the clubs. But if this guy somehow makes it at West Ham, and he's almost an alternative solution at the club, then we've got lucky. We've got lucky. We've hit a gem. All the scouts have done incredibly well. Whoever scouted him, I don't know whether it was Steiner or Rob Newman or Mark Noble. I don't know who it was, but um, they found a gem there. Obviously, Freddie Potts has impressed at Wickham last season, and he seems to be the next guy up when it comes to um, like breakthrough prospects trying to get into the first team and stuff. Big up Scott again. Moyes' son is an agent. I forgot David Moyes has a son called David, and Andy was his player. So yeah, it was like Jordan Hugo then. Because when we signed Jordan Hugo, David Moyes was here the first time, and it was through an agent and stuff, and that was the striker solution. And we saw how that panned out. West Ham going to do well, in my opinion. I fucking hope so. Because it could go anywhere in the league. It could go anywhere. Like there's going to be about 8 teams probably battling around that European spot. Like you never know what Crystal Palace are up to. They recruited very well. They came back off a really good form last season. Glasner's a very good manager. Likes to keep their team balanced when it comes to defensive organisation and playing between the lines and stuff. Adam Wharton's going to have an incredible season. Like he's probably going to make most people's team of the seasons. They just signed Ismail Assar's about to sign and be the Michael Elise replacement. I don't think they're going to lose Eze or Gerhi, I'll be honest, because I think the Euros kind of saved that. I don't think Gay's leaving, and I don't think any club are going to bid for Eze. You're just going to see a bunch of clubs interested in Barry Eze, for example. I think Bournemouth are going to do very well next season. Probably not going to get European spaces, but they're going to do quite well. I think they'll probably get top 10 maybe. Obviously, you've got the normal traditional top 6. I don't think any of them are going to severely underachieve. The only one I can really see severely underachieving is Man United. Man United, I know they're recruiting well, but they've still got Erik ten Hag. Man City looking into Eze. That's the thing, they're looking into Eze, but are Man City actually going to bid and purchase Eze? I'm not too sure. Obviously, you've got the traditional 6 clubs. You never know what Tottenham are going to do because Tottenham haven't signed anyone and their attack looks awful. And they're definitely a club to watch this season. As much as I hate to say it because I don't like them at all. Obviously, you've got Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa will make Europe next season. I don't think they'll make Champions League. I think they've actually recruited quite well and taken a loss of Douglas Luiz quite well, but I don't know whether they've replaced the profile that well as such. But Ross Barkley is a signing. I don't rate Onana, to be completely honest with you. I think he's heavily overrated. But Barkley, Philogene, of course, everyone knows how much I rate Philogene. Who else have they signed? They signed a couple Juventus guys I haven't really watched, but it's still good recruitment. Ian Matson's a great signing as well. I'm trying to think who else would be battling around that space. Like, apart from all the teams I said, it's going to be us as well. But we can I think we're going to probably finish around the 8th to 30th mark. I think it'll be a mid-table season. But I don't think it's going to look as bad as the position says. What I think it's going to be is we're going to have a very encouraging style of play, and we're going to see on the surface that there is a direction. However, I think the football will start kicking in next season, mainly because we've still got a lot of players that probably aren't up to it. Big up Kyle again. My granddad always says, Freddie Potter. I'm so dumb. Freddie Potts runs like Declan Rice. You know what? He actually does. I didn't even notice that. He actually does. Big up Wasim again. If Palace can keep their players, they can cause upset. Rate their manager. Yeah, Joe, their manager's quality. I can't lie. J-Lo has been given a target of top 6. I mean, we'll see. I think it's very unfair to put top 6 on him straight away. I think that should be the eventual goal to get into Europe. But first season, I'm not expecting anything. I'm kind of just there, just get everyone integrated. Let's get used to playing a whole different way after we've tried to be a defensive team for the past 4 or 5 years or whatever it is. All these players are getting used to it. Obviously, pre-seasons for that as well. But we'll see who's good enough. We'll see who can turn up really and who's going to go up a level under this level of coaching. I believe a lot of players will show their level and the fact that they're not good enough. But I feel like a lot of players are going to go up a level. I think you're going to see Kudus and Bowen be even better than last season, and that's saying something. If Paquetá can keep his head and stay concentrated, he could go up. If Alvarez with the same, he'll definitely be better than last season. I think Emerson is going to have another great season. Max Kilman will be key. and Mavropanos will go up. We should change tact and go after Tony. Duran is too much at 32 plus million. I think I mean, me and you have discussed this before. Ivan Tony is the guy for me. Yes, I would go for Ivan Tony over Duran. And it's not just about like strikers, not just about age. And then yes, we are trying to lower the age bracket, and there's going to be quite a divide of whether people like Tony or not. But I really like Ivan Tony. Like if us and Tottenham are the only clubs that are really after him, you go in and get him because Tottenham don't like to pay money. We are starting to spend a bit more money over the past few years, which I don't mind because we're actually spending it safe and it's not under Sullivan, it's under Steidel and an actual structure. So I wouldn't mind, cheeky little Ivan Tony as someone who we should have signed 3 years ago and someone who we should have signed 6 years ago at Peterborough and Brentford. That would be perfect. I would love if Ivan Tony joined West Ham because we can still get 4 years out of him. You'll never see me more happy on the stream apart from the time where we won, obviously, the Conference League. I'll be celebrating that. The thing is, Scott, they want too much for Solanke. That's why we're not going after him. Like he's been on our shortlist for about 2 years, like the same with Kilman, but they want so much for Solanke that he's not going anywhere this season, let alone West Ham. Obviously, I would prefer Tony out of the two as well. I think, obviously, if it was realistic, I'd like Solanke at the club. I would happily take Solanke. If people were happy with Duran, you'd be happy with Dominic Solanke, for God's sakes. Obviously, he's going to have another good season as well. He had a great season last season. And I kind of felt sorry for him when he was playing under Gary O'Neill type football. He was very isolated, similar to how Mikel Antonio was playing for us. But he's very good technically, could run the channels, very good in the box, drags out defenders, great movement. I like Solanke, but it's just very unrealistic to even go for him. Just because the fact they want so much. They want so much from him. They're not going to sell him this season. I think next season you'll see Solanke probably leave. I think Bournemouth are also probably going to prepare their replacements this season and then replace them next season. I think that's how they're going to move. I think every club's moving kind of similar where they buy gems and then they sell them for profit. Obviously, Solanke started off like as just one of the mediocre Bournemouth strikers and then came into play and then went up a level. And especially since they got promoted back to the Premier League, he went up a level. But I really like Solanke. Ivan Toney as well should be the guy if we're not going to go after Duran. I have no idea who we're going to go for. Obviously, we had a Sorloth bid rejected, I'm pretty sure. We bid for Sorloth from Villarreal. And we had that rejected. I don't think we're going to go back in for him. The Dobvik guy is going to either Roma or Atletico. And the thing is, we don't know who's on the shortlist or not. Because as much as stories get leaked, a lot of the stories leaked are by Z-tier journalists. Z-tier journalists. Like the Jacob Steinbergs and the Jack Rosses and the Graham Baileys, the big three of shit journalists. So forget them. Forget them for a sec. I'm talking, when we have a target, we don't actually know what's happening until it's been reported by an ex-West Ham employee and by Fabrizio. Because we didn't know Tadibo was there. We didn't know Tadibo was on the shortlist. We also didn't know that, what's his name? I forgot his name already. Mazraoui was on the shortlist either. What about Amarion? I call him Amarion. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Was that deal? I think that deal was dead a long time ago. We bid in 35 million earlier for him, like early in the transfer window, and they rejected that. So we're like, fuck that. And they don't even want to sell him. I'm pretty sure. Big up David as well. Hope you're well. I don't know whether you tried to put something else, Carl, but those are the striker targets that I could only think of that we've gone for before. And I don't know who we go for now. Like, there's got to be some gem that we don't know about that's on our shortlist. Because, as I said, Mazraoui, we didn't know Mazraoui was there. We didn't know Tadibo was there. We had a genuine interest in both of them. And it looks like the Mazraoui deal would get done. Obviously, we haven't been given a here we go yet. There's some financial things and stuff. And hopefully we can get an ex-West Ham employee update. But we just got to be patient, I guess, with the right-back situation now because we know that one of the deals is actually going to get done. But I'm happy with that. But I'm still wanting a striker. It doesn't mean I'm not happy with the window so far. I am content. I'm content with it. But I'm very adamant on how big this rebuild actually is. And don't get me wrong, like, it seems going from the couple games of preseason where you can't really read into it too much that Lopetegui's doing well with the players he has already. But he's going to need more. You're going to see that in the season where I think we'll have a Tottenham bounce like Tottenham did last season with Ange Postecoglou, where we go on a good run. Maybe not till like top 4, whatever, but We'll go on a big run at the start of the season. We're going to actually gel quite well, and then we're going to have the eventual fall off that we will always have because of the quality at hand, and the bounce will stop for a bit, and it will take someone to stop the bounce, and we'll go on a bit of a run of losses, or not a run of losses, but a run of semi bad performances that weren't up to the standard of how we started, and then I'm going to analyze it from there. What are your thoughts on Fofana? Do you think we should sign him this summer? I like Yusuf. If you're talking about the Monaco guy, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Yusuf Fofana. Like, I've watched him like twice. I've got to be real. I've watched him like twice. But both times I watched him, I liked him. Like, obviously, I think he's the ideal midfielder that we should sign because he can fill in for the six and hold his own. But he's a good ball playing sort of midfielder, so you can put him in that 8 role. I think he complement Edson Alvarez very good, very well. He'd be a huge upgrade on Ward-Prowse and Souček. And he'd be very ideal. He gives you that balance of a physical aspect and a technical aspect as well. But yeah, I'm not an expert on him, but from what I watched of him, that's what I take from him. Ideally, I'd love us to sign him. The thing is, he was linked with AC Milan. Every time this guy is linked with a club, I always think he's about to move, and then the deal, I never hear about it again. So I don't think we're going to get him. But he's been a guy that would be like 5th choice on our shortlist for whatever reason. But maybe once we know what the midfield situation is going to be like in the next couple of weeks, we might go in for him. I think the midfield situation is going to come in late. We're going to go for the midfielder last. Like, after the right back situation is done, I'm trying to see us linked to attackers, just strictly attackers, strikers and left wingers. I need to see us linked to attackers, and I need to see actual links. Not Jacob Steinberg links. I'm talking Fabrizio, Ornstein, even Plettenberg maybe, and ex-West Ham employee links. I need to see links from them. I don't need to see links from, Graham Bailey. Because if Graham Bailey says something on Twitter, the opposite is probably true. Because he said that David Sullivan pulled the plug on the Guilherme deal. Guilherme is a West Ham player. He was linked with Arsenal as well, but it is his last year of his contract apparently, so he's going for cheap. So maybe there is a chance for us to go in for him. I don't know what his contract situation's saying, but that's probably why he's been linked with so many clubs now. I know Nottingham Forest tried to get him in January, but come on, Nottingham, he was never going to Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest are quite ambitious as a club in terms of spending money, but they probably go too overboard with spending money, let's be honest. But I don't think Arsenal were getting him. Arsenal confuse me when it comes to their transfer strategy because they need a midfielder, they need a striker, but fuck knows what's going to happen. If they don't get a striker, they're not winning the league. Put it that way. I don't think they're going to go for Fofana either, if I'm being completely honest. But obviously, we got the Sunshine State Tour on Saturday and next Sunday as well. Like, we're going to watch and see how these players perform, like Freddie Potts and Andy Irving, and Lewis Orford's still here. So we'll see how they are against Premier League opponents. Mazraoui won't be done by then. He won't even be announced until probably like mid next week if everything goes to plan. I just want that deal done as soon as possible. I'm hoping that there's no bumps in the road with that. The thing is, we get excited. We get really excited, and we have a right to get excited. But this is West Ham we talk about. When someone says that deal's done at West Ham, even if they're reliable, just wait until ex-West Ham employee does the emojis or the announcement, and then you can celebrate. I know it doesn't really hit the same. The dopamine doesn't really hit the same once the announcement happens. Like, I felt that with Guilherme, I felt that with Kilman. But still, you gotta be careful when it comes to this, especially at West Ham. Remember the whole Fabrizio Bruno guy? Like, he literally went to he rejected us because he wanted more money. What are the chances of us getting Nico Williams for the left wing? There's probably more chance of me being a millionaire, but fuck it. Go bid for Nico Williams. Why not? Oh, man. Might as well get Yamal while you're there. That Barcelona fucking story is going to drag out until the whole transfer window, you can tell. But overall, I'm content with the window, guys. Like, but as I said, I'm just trying to see us linked with attackers. Like, I've just seen a link to Sergio Roberto. I'm going to check the source quickly. Let me check the source. Hold on. I need to wait for this stuff to load. Okay, Toto Costa. I'd never heard of them. And also, that Sergio Roberto link wouldn't make any sense if we're signing Mazraoui. He's a right back. I know he can play midfield, but we wouldn't sign him for midfield. The guy's washed as well. But obviously, Ivan Toney would be ideal for striker. Left wing, I'd still like Reece Nelson, but I'd like us to actually pay for him, not on loan. or just do a loan with an obligation to buy, because then you can pay the money next year. I don't know what the relationship's like with West Ham Arsenal in terms of the owners, but just try and get Reece Nelson still. I don't know who else is on the left wing situation. As I said, someone, I think it was Carl earlier, that was talking about Somerville. Um, I can't remember who was talking about Somerville. Yes, Carl was talking about Somerville earlier. Uh, I hope we go back in for him. I have a feeling we will. And big up Carl again. What is your prediction against Aston Villa? Fuck knows. We're still on just under a month away. I have no fucking clue. You're gonna have to ask me closer to the game. I can give you my prediction. We haven't even played Wolves and Palace in pre-season yet, so I have no clue. It also depends who's fully fit and depends who we sign by then. I hope we don't lose our first game of the season. I hope against Aston Villa isn't the worst game, but it isn't the best either. Like, we should have beaten them last season with David Moyes in charge at home, where we put pressure on them, and then Moyes took off Antonio for Ben Johnson, and we just let them come onto us as we've soaked up pressure. But we should have won that game last season when we drew 1-1. That was a missed opportunity, and we usually have a good record against Aston Villa, but we haven't beaten Unai Emery yet. Like, in the 3 games we faced Unai Emery, we've drawn twice and lost once. So I'm not exactly looking forward to that, but at the same time, with new manager, new tactics, hopefully a few more new players, and yeah, it might give me that that dopamine for the game. That's the thing. I'm quite excited for club football. I've got that club football fever back because the Euros is longer gone. We don't have to watch international football anymore. Hopefully, and if we get new players, I'm going to be fully on club football, man. I'm just going to be gassed. I just hope the football is good this season. No more low block for 80 minutes. That's the thing. Like, this manager isn't going to do that. This manager isn't going to sit 11 players behind the ball. He isn't going to play midfielders on the left wing. He isn't going to play right backs up front or whatever. Like, he's not going to do that. So that's what I'm happy about as well. I think the football is going to be much better, but it's not going to be the final form of the football that we're seeing. Like, you're going to see the football improve as we carry on playing. I think we can be patient with that, but I think we're going to see that there is hope in that once we start watching the football a lot more. And we're going to actually pass in between the lines. We're going to actually try and pass to our own teammates and not the opposition for once. We're actually going to start pressing as well. That's going to gas me a lot. Like, if you guys wanted to watch along for that Saravaros game, I was grasping at straws for the amount of positives there were, because it was almost refreshing just to see that. It was probably the best football I've seen at West Ham, and that was a pre-season game. Like, we've been starved of good football. Like, I don't require a manager to play good football at this club. Just get the best out of your squad. But with this squad specifically, you need to play good football. You need to play attacking football. You need to play on the front foot with this specific squad. Like, don't get me wrong, we have a mishmash of profiles. Like, Souček is probably not going to be up to it. Ward-Prowse is probably not going to be up to it. Soufal is probably not going to be up to it. Cresswell won't be either. But other than that, Zuma's knees won't be up to it. And if Aged can defend, we might have some hope. But I don't think he's going to be up. The thing is, he'll be more suited to this than David Moyes' style of football, but he needs to just actually defend properly. But I'm looking forward to next season. I'm looking forward to it. I agree. I'm looking forward to actually watching us play. Moyes will suck the life out of me. Joy, it just, like, once it... I can't remember to the point where I was like, I'm done. And when I mean I'm done, I mean, like, I'm not going to bother getting emotional anymore. Because I would remember the Chelsea away. I get up for West Ham versus Chelsea all the time, yeah. But that was the few games where West Ham faced Chelsea, and I was like, I don't really care. I don't really care. I know we're going to get battered. Just end it. And especially after Moyes bench Alvarez, you're like, okay, just get this down. It's all gone. Who becomes club captain? Alvarez, Bowen, or Kilman? Can't have another season of Zuma. Thing is, I don't really know what Zuma, like, I can't really judge Zuma as captain, mainly because he barely played. My thing is, I think Alvarez should get it. The reason why I think Alvarez should get it is because I don't believe in giving club captain the captaincy armband to a new signing straight away, because you have a hierarchy in the dressing room. So don't give it to the guy who's just come into the dressing room. And I don't believe in Bowen being captain because I don't see him as a leader. I see him as a leader by example. I don't see him as a vocal leader, you know? Even Kilman's not even that vocal. So I'll give it to Alvarez. The guy's been here a year now. He's part of the dressing room. He's the closest we've got to a captain. Well, the thing is, people are not going to like this, but Ward-Prowse is best suited to captain, but nobody likes Ward-Prowse. and he might not even be a regular. So Ward-Prowse was literally captain at Southampton for years. He has captain experience. Kilman's been captain for like 2 years. What? Bowen's never been captain in his life. And Alvarez is just a natural leader in the midfield. I'd give it to Alvarez, but yeah, I wouldn't give it to Bowen or Kilman. I'll be honest. We'll see how Kilman hasn't even kicked the ball for us. It's like when Moyes tried to sign Maguire, and one of his promises was, "I'll give you the captaincy if you join West Ham United as well." But I never believed in that either. Like, if I didn't want Maguire anyway, but let's say I wanted Maguire at West Ham, I wouldn't give him the captain's armband straight away. I mean, it's not like he's proven to be a good captain at Man United. I know it's a bigger club and there's a bigger stage or whatever, but it's not like he was proven to be a great captain anyway. Ward-Prowse is best suited as captain. He does the interviews really well at the end of the game. Yeah, he's very experienced. He knows what he's doing. Like, the only thing he really isn't experienced is, I guess, is the top level, and I guess like big cup games or whatever. But that's it. Like, he's a Premier League experienced player. Like, Mark Noble wasn't experienced in that. He was a fantastic captain, really. I know there was times where even Mark Noble was questioned as captain. For some reason, people are still going after Mark Noble to this day. There's always some idiots online that go after Mark Noble, but Ward-Prowse and Alvarez are probably our captains. If Ward-Prowse is going to be a regular in the side and he's part of Lopetegui's plans, then he should probably be captain. If not, then Edson Alvarez should get it. I'd probably give it to Alvarez just because we already know that he's going to be one of our key players. But yeah, I'm fine with either. And originally there was a report a few months ago by The Athletic that Ward-Prowse was going to be considered as the new captain. But we will see. I think it's good that the new manager sets his own standards straight away about who's going to be his captain and stuff, because after Declan Rice and Mark Noble left, it was pretty much up in the air of who's going to be captain, and then Zuma was given captain. I actually wanted Zuma to be captain at the time, and listen, I don't think Zuma did. I don't know what Zuma's blatant bad actions was to be known as a bad captain last season, but to me, it was just availability is key. And also, he fell off a cliff because, listen, the guy is made of cotton, bruv. He's made of cotton wool. He's made of tangerines. He's got tangerine knees. So, I like you can't give captaincy with someone with tangerine knees. But listen, get your questions in as usual about West Ham, about football and whatever as well. We'll keep carrying on as long as you guys want me to carry on, to be completely honest. But I'm going to bring up also probably a comp of Mazraoui. We could get into a Mazraoui comp. And we can watch that together as well. I think that's it being reported. Let me go back to my bookmarks to see if I missed any reports. No, I've shared everything. Okay. But it's been a very busy day as a West Ham fan. Like, I think the thing is as well, like, with this club, you either get no reports or you get like 3 hours worth of reports. Like, we didn't get anything for the past 2 days, on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we saw all of a sudden the Mazraoui deal happens and the Duran deal is still happening and all that. Like, it's just nonsense, to be completely honest. It's just a complete nonsense. Like, that's why I think less leaks are actually happening. Like, less leaks than people think are actually happening. Because we're kind of just seeing deals come out of nowhere and stuff. All right. I've got the Mazraoui comp. Let me just share my screen properly. I'm going to adjust my screen and then we can watch it together and see what... And if you haven't watched him, you'll be able to see what type of player he is. But it's important to note, and I'll put a disclaimer on this, when you're watching a comp of a player, it won't decide how good a player is. You will just be able to know what type of player he is, like the profile player, and what the highlights of his actual skills are. Like, I remember seeing a Calafiori comp by an Arsenal fan. It was just him looking into the camera, and you could just tell from that Arsenal fans just want to shag Calafiori. But yeah, let me just present my screen. I don't know how to share the tab, by the way. I just only know how to share. Oh, I know, I get it now. I just realized how to do it, but I'll do it another time. I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to watch this Mazraoui comp. Okay. It's on mute as well, just in case it has any music and it filters through to the thing and stuff. Obviously, this guy played for Ajax. I'm pretty sure, apparently on the bio where he said, what's it called? That they got Mazraoui on a free. I remember watching him in that Leverkusen game. He was one of the few better players in that game. Obviously, Eric Dyer was terrible as usual. Like as you can see, like you'll be able to see this if he joins us as well. Like the guy is very comfortable with the ball, but that is also the school of Ajax. Oh, this is him for a goal. Jesus Christ. But he obviously can play a little bit on the inside, a little bit on the outside as well. The guy seems really good. It's just the fact that he's not available much. He's very tall for a right back as well. I'm going to pause it every time there's a comment coming up, by the way. Do you do fantasy football? I got Ollie Watkins as my captain and Bowen as my vice captain. Do you know what I do? I haven't set it up yet, though. I haven't set mine up this year. I'm going to definitely set mine up. I was going to do an FPL league for my subscribers, but I don't know how many of you would actually join that. There might be only like 3 or 4 of us in that. But when we get more subscribers, I'll definitely do an FPL league one day. If anyone has an FPL league that they'll be allow me to join, I'd be so down. A lot of my friends don't play football. I don't watch football, so I don't really have people to play FPL with. But I did it last season. I'm going to do it again this season. I'm actually very shit at FPL, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know who I'm going to have as captain this season. Like with Haaland, you never know. Like he gets the most goals, but you need someone that's going to get goals in like every game. He kind of just, you never know with Haaland, even though he's literally top goal scorer both seasons. As you can see from Mazraoui, very doesn't jump in as well. Doesn't jump in too much. Can swing a ball in and stuff. Very composed. Obviously, as I said, like comps can make anyone look world class. It's not really anything to determine how good they're going to be week in, week out for your club. Because obviously the whole point of a comp is to show the highlights of a player. I mean, the guy pretty much likes to do everything, doesn't he? He likes to shoot for it. Like, you can see why Lopetegui and Steinen would want the guy, because defensively sound and is very passionate when it comes to attacking. Likes to get up and down, crossing, shooting, playing slightly inverted at times, playing on the touchline, can play both sides of the pitch. Like, this is probably the best right back we've been linked with. This is like, we've definitely got the best right back out of the people we were linked with. Because I wanted Kyle Walker-Peters at first. And I still would take him, by the way. But we seem to got someone better. Like we saw with Alvarez and Kudus, they're naturally gifted on the ball because of the school of Ajax. You don't really join Ajax and you're not not have the ability to be comfortable on the ball. The guy could play midfield as well. I forgot about that, but Mazraoui's the same. I don't know whether he came through Ajax's academy, but you're at Ajax for God's sakes. You're taught to be comfortable on the ball. If you're not comfortable on the ball at Ajax, then I don't know, man. But likes to play under pressure as well. Obviously, every team presses in the Premier League as well. Like literally every team. Apart from maybe, I'm trying to think now who wouldn't press in the Premier League. So we're going to come under that a lot. We're going to be playing out the back a lot. And listen, we were playing out from the back last season, but the way we played at the back last season was our goalkeeper would kick the ball to our centre backs. The centre back will pass it to the right back, and then the right back sends it down the channel. That style of football is very outdated now. That's why Moyes has been left behind. That's why people like Roy Hodgson are being left behind. I actually think Sam Allardyce is actually probably the best at haram football when it comes to English managers, but he only takes jobs where he wants to get teams out of relegation and stuff. He doesn't actually want to be a full-time manager anymore. But that style of football is kind of done out. Obviously, you need to switch it up and be more direct, but you can't just swing it in the channels and that be your sole purpose in a game, and sole purpose of playing. So we're going to be playing up from the back, like trying to play through the lines and stuff. You're seeing it in pre-season. And you're going to see who's actually really comfortable on the ball. You're going to see who really can play this football. In my opinion, we've got quite a few players that can, but we've got players that have played quite a lot at this club that won't be able to have that. You see, like a mobile Aaron Cresswell would be able to fit in this side. I'm not going to, as much as I'm a big Aaron Cresswell critic, I'm not I'm not going to deter away from that. I think Aaron Cresswell might have done well at with Lopetegui a few years ago, but not in 2024. It would have been nice to see him go. It would have been nice to be free of Aaron Cresswell. But unfortunately, we have to put up with him another year. Let's hope that even if Emerson was to get injured, we just put Mazraoui at left back instead of Cresswell. Like in the very first game of preseason, they were targeting him. Like, and even our Strasbourg Steve. Strasbourg Steve was on the same stream as us. We did the double watch long. He would agree. Like, they were targeting Cresswell in that game. But this guy is technically gifted on the ball. So this is academy. Some of these look like academy games as well. So I'm assuming he came through the academy. And obviously, you get a lot of fullbacks that can either defend really well, like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and not attack for it that well, or you get someone like let's say like a Trent, who's elite at attacking and can get caught at the back post quite a lot when it comes to defending and stuff. With Mazraoui, this guy seems in highlights very balanced, and whenever I've watched him, he's always been good 1v1 and always been competent going forward. So he's quite a balanced fullback. And I'm not saying that just going off this comp. This is someone I've actually watched before, like for Bayern especially. But I just think this is a great signing. I know he gets injured a lot, but I still think it's very, very cheap, especially in this market. Big up Scott again. A lot of the youth nowadays likes to play in the pockets. Earthy looks so comfortable there. Can't wait to see the rise of George Earthy. Same, bro. Same, honestly. That's another goal. That's the thing with George Earthy as well. Like, you can play with 10s in this system, but we don't need 10s. He could be that other alternative with people that can cut in from the wing. And I don't mean cutting, and I don't mean like putting number 10s on the wing again, like how David Moyes would, by just putting them on the touchline and letting them suffer and, squeezing all the creativity away from their game. I mean, getting into the pockets while that's a great goal, by the way, but with the fullbacks hugging the touchline and then bouncing off each other and linking up, etc. George Earthy's going to really grab games by the scruff of the neck once he, develops and stuff. It's a great player. The way he can play under pressure. Well, hopefully, we see this in the Premier League. Like, this is the thing as well, guys. Obviously, not Ward-Prowse, Mazraoui and Guilherme are the two outfield. Let's say Mazraoui's sons, the two outfield players that haven't come from the Premier League and haven't played in the Premier League before. So give them their first season. Let them, settle into the league, and then we'll see the best of them. And even if they perform really well in the first season, I wouldn't even get too carried away. I wouldn't even do the opposite. Don't get too carried away if they have a great first season. Because it happened with Souček and Sufa. They had great first seasons. But I know there's more context to it, and I will get into the context another time, but they fell off. I think we're putting all the pieces to the puzzles together as long as we get all the targets and positions that we need. The striker one's big. Because we need that to get into Europe, as people have asked me, like, Champions League and European football, etc. The striker determines that. I've said before as well, we need our own version of the Ollie Watkins and the Isaks where we can have that striker to level up the whole team. That striker that can get maybe 12 to 15 goals to level us up consistently. And I'm asking for 12 to 15. I'm not even asking for 20. Because that's not even a thing nowadays, a 20-goal striker, unless they have a really good season. And like that art of scoring 20 goals week in, week, like season in, season out, that's not a thing anymore. So I'm asking for 12 to 15 to level us up. That will put us in the top 4 charge if we had that type of striker. Like an Ivan Toney, for example. Let's say we signed Ivan Toney, I'm predicting us to finish in Europe. Straight up. Get Ivan Toney where we can finish in Europe. Straight away. That's how confident I am with Ivan Toney. But if we was to sign a Duran, I would say it might take an extra season in that. It doesn't even look like, by the way, that, and big up East London Hammers on Twitter, someone I interact with quite a bit. He even said that, he even predicted that they wouldn't accept that bid with Lewis Orford as part of the deal because they don't value him as 10 million, etc. And Lewis Orford doesn't want to leave. So I almost have a feeling he might still be in negotiations with that deal, but one can only hope that that's not going to happen. I think the next thing that West Ham will do is probably bid like 35 million with add-ons, and then we're going to see from there. We don't like 40 million for Duran is ridiculous. But yeah, a lot of these highlights, they're showing you both sides of the game as well. They're showing you the attacking side of his game and the defensive side of this game, and throughout stages of his career, throughout Ajax and Bayern Munich as well. There's a lot of both. And it's also because they can't show you strictly a Bayern comp because he has been injured for quite a bit. And listen, he is injury prone, but I'd bank on him more than a Smith. If we were signing a Smith Rowe or Loftus Cheek and an injury prone signing that we've been linked with before, like back in the day when we were linked with Daniel Sturridge and Danny Welbeck, etc. Like, injury prone players like that. I don't put him as one of those players, or Jack Wilshere that we've had at this club before. I don't think he'll be that injury prone, don't get me wrong, but we've got somewhat of competition there, and that's the end of the comp. But yeah. That was the comp of Mazraoui, and I enjoyed watching that, I can't lie. Technically gifted player. We're buying technical players at the club. It feels so nice to have a few technicians at the club for once. Instead of road runners, incompetent players with the ball. I don't want to see that anymore. And you can't have that in this day and age. You can't. Because that doesn't produce the winning football, etc. You got to have players that are comfortable with the ball. That's just the truth of it. Get your questions in as well. We've got 11 people in here. If none of you are subscribed, please subscribe now because we are nearly on 400, I'm pretty sure. Let me check now. We're at 398 still. So if you're not subscribed, you can make that happen today by getting me to 400 subscribers. Then we'll have a 400 subscriber Q&A as well. So watch out for that. As soon as we hit 400, you'll see it on the community page. Any updates on the channel, go on the community page. But yeah, get your questions in because we like to talk football. We like to talk West Ham. But I'm hoping we get this Mazraoui deal done, as the reporters are saying, in the next few days. Surely that goes to plan. I can't see Man United hijacking it because a key thing that people seem to forget as well, Man United need to let Wan-Bissaka go before they sign another right back, or else they have 3 right backs. And then if they haven't let Wan-Bissaka go, it's a bit odd in numbers, So they're not going to hijack it. We seem to have a free run at it, unless we somehow fuck it up with the negotiations. If we do, then you'll see me criticize Tim Steidten for fucking it up. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying Tim Steidten's some genius negotiator, but I'm just saying it's structure, innit? You've got a structure at the club for once. I don't know whether people want David Sullivan to go back to, calling agents for players again. I don't know whether people want that, but it's up to them, innit? But a lot of teams go with a director of football now, so that's why I don't get. That's why I really don't get, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's a very promising time at the club as well. We've got youngsters coming through, we've got players coming in, we've got some players that I don't particularly like getting, leaving. Well, Ben Johnson, that's it, really. I don't want Flynn Downs to go, but it is what it is. Big up Scott again. I'm not stressed out at all this window. This time last season, we signed no one and it all worked out okay. Yeah. Whether it worked out okay, last season, did enjoy it, but I know what you mean. Obviously, Moyes was a big factor in that because him and Steidten kept disagreeing and weren't aligned. But Steidten and Lopetegui are aligned. Lopetegui wouldn't have joined if we didn't have any money. Steidten wouldn't have said that we don't need to sell to buy if it wasn't true. Because why would the technical director lie? That's something. And if someone was to lie about that within the club owner, David Sullivan, would lie about that. He would be like, "We don't need to sell to buy, then buy no one." That's something Sullivan would do, not a technical director. And also, I know people were saying we're pretty much going after mainstream targets, etc., but people seem to forget. I'm going to repeat this. I've repeated this before. Lopetegui literally wants an English core because he wanted it at Wolves. Why would he change it? Why would he change his own sort of philosophy thing to wanting an English core? He still wants that at West Ham. And we need homegrown players. Well, we don't need homegrown players anymore because we've got Fotheringham and stuff. We still got Danny Ings, still got Cresswell, still got Antonio, but that's not going to change. And also, if Salah wasn't in charge, let's say Sullivan was still in charge of everything, we wouldn't have got Guilherme, we wouldn't have got Max Kilman, and we would have probably haggled over Mazraoui. We would have signed West Foderingham still because he's a free agent. But he would have bid like 20 million for Guilherme and then not gone over that or whatever it was. He would have bidded for like 10 million. He would have bidded. He wouldn't have gone over 25 million for Max Kilman either. And bidding that bid for N'Golo Kante, he would have bid like 5 million for N'Golo Kante. That's it. So I know people got PTSD from David Sullivan, and unfortunately, him and Karen Brady are still here. But they don't do the footballing decisions anymore. We just need to go at them for the off the pitch decisions, such as the concession stuff that's going on around the club. To be honest with you, I'm going to be at the Betway Cup game. I know there's not a lot of people that are going to go, but I'm going because I didn't get to watch Dagenham and Redbridge games, so I wanted to go to a pre-season game this season. I at least go to one every year, and yeah, I want to watch some football, and I'm going to obviously the Aston Villa game because I have a season ticket. If Moyes was here, we'll be trying to buy Maguire and McTominay. It's true, and both of them are shit. That's the thing with neither of them are technicians either. Like I know Maguire can ping a pass now and then, but he's not a technician. McTominay turns like a bus. It's like watching a bus play football. He will turn, take a bad touch, and then accidentally nearly tries to kill someone by tackling them, and then nearly kill them on the pitch. That's what McTominay does. That's the truth. I'm glad we didn't sign either of them, because last season could have been even worse than it actually was. Like Moyes tried to sign McTominay when we had Souček already. Moyes wanted McTominay and Souček in the same team. That should have been a red flag for anyone. But I'm not going to get into that. We tried to go after Gallagher as well, by the way. People forget about that. Gallagher and Souček as well. That would have been fucking awful. I shouldn't say Gallagher because I know my Chelsea subscribers are going to try and sell us Gallagher again. But, nah. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with the players we have. I'm glad we've got Alvarez. Hopefully we get a midfielder if Andy Irving and Freddie Potts aren't seem to be the answer by the manager, a left winger. And if someone, for some reason, wants again Ozima, hopefully we get another centre-back. And I'm pretty sure if we do get another centre-back, it's going to be Solé, the Salzburg guy. He played James Ward-Prowse left wing, played 5 centre-mids at the same time. Yep. People forget that Bournemouth game. He played Ward-Prowse. I'm pretty sure he played Ward-Prowse left wing, either Phillips or Souček in the 10 with Edson Alvarez as well. All 4 of them started in that same game. And we still managed to draw 1-1 because we got a penalty. And we was terrible that game. I don't know how we didn't lose that game. We played 4 centre midfielders. 4. Bro, I watched Ward-Prowse left wing last season. I watched Paquetá left wing last season. I watched Ward-Prowse in a 6. I watched Ward-Prowse in a 10. I watched Johnson on the wing. I watched Cornet just sit there on the bench. Danny Ings played well, then got benched. Cornet scored and then got benched. I watched all of that. And people were telling me about the season before that when it came to David Moyes. We are free of Scottish terrorism. We are free of it. As I said on Lewis's channel, we are free of Scottish terrorism. We can finally watch some paella ball, watch a bit of Spanish football, etc. at the club. And listen, the aesthetics are a bonus for me when it comes to the football. Like, I don't care if we play good football or not. I just need the style of football that you're implementing to work. It's just a bonus, the fact that it's actually going to look good next season. And we are probably going to make some mistakes playing out from the back. We are probably going to do that. Don't get me wrong. However, that comes with it. Every team does it, unfortunately. But we'll still put it out for criticism. And also, this manager isn't going to go all-out attack every game. He will switch it up as the game goes on. But he will keep his principles. That's how you should do it. You can adapt to the game, be slightly pragmatic, but keep your principles at the same time. That's what Lopetegui's going to do. If you listen to his the first interview, the first press conference, and read it between the lines, that's exactly what he's going to do. Ugh. But yeah, listen, we've gone on for an hour and 10. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I will try and stream and upload. Now that 8 of you are in here, I've got the series coming out of the countdown series where we preview every Premier League team. 20 days to go till the Premier League season starts, and I'm going to preview every Premier League team. I'm going to upload that. Hopefully, every upload by 8 p.m. starting from tomorrow until the Premier League season starts. You'll get a video every day based on that. Also, bonus West Ham content for whatever breaking news happens as well. I'll bring you a stream for that as well. Every time that happens. And we're going to keep content flowing. As soon as we hit 400 subscribers, I'll bring you the 400 subscriber Q&A as soon as possible. I've also joined me for the watch along on Saturday, where we will be doing the watch along to Wolves versus West Ham. Obviously, in the Sunshine State Tour, we'll be watching it live together. And I'll see if I can do one for the Crystal Palace one, because that one's at midnight. But yeah, listen, thank you guys for watching. And big up Scott. Big up all the regulars as well that have been in here. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.